Hopelessly Devoted, Episode 1 of 6 for series Everything I Am Is Yours, by Karen Featherstone. Hopelessly Devoted, Episode 1. Disabled entrepreneur Jade hustles for completion funds to open a unique Cumbrian retreat for disabled holiday-goers. Using her boyfriend Duncan's derelict money pit house as the premises, Jade enlists the help of her best friend, marketing manager Lauren, whose ambivalence about Duncan plants doubts in Jane's head about Duncan's true intentions. As Jade learns more about Duncan's past, she begins to suspect that Duncan is attracted to her for her wheelchair. So he is a devotee. Forced to question everything about their relationship, Jade must navigate a culture of ignorance and prejudice about the love lives of inter-abled couples, as well as having to choose how and when to confront Duncan. Jade knows that if her relationship fails, so must her business plan.
This is Border Television, broadcasting to Cumbria, South Scotland, the Isle of Man and North and West Northumberland.
I'm Karen Featherstone. What I love to do, this is going to sound really predictable, but I do actually love to write. I like to write. In my spare time, I obviously like to hang out with my children, who are fun, and my cat. I read and I watch TV and catch up. Kind of overrun where I live with small mammals. Not talking about my children or my husband here. I go out and make stories up in my head about the owls and their superpowers. What makes me laugh is probably seeing what a hash I've made of this interview. What makes me laugh? I have a really unappealing habit of laughing for a long time at my own jokes, like way beyond, if people laugh at all, way beyond the point that they stop laughing. I think my record's about 4 minutes, where I just keep A while ago, I actually woke myself up laughing at one of my own jokes in a dream. In the future, what I'm most looking forward to imminently is I have another idea for a script, and I've managed to get on the BBC Writers Access Group, The Scheme, and I'll be writing another script, a supernatural thriller called Sleepover. It's just so exciting for me because it's the combination of about 3 ideas I had over about 3 years, and just one night they all sort of smooshed together into this concept, and I got very excited, and I'm sort of gagging to get on and write that, really. And then I'll have hopefully quite a good portfolio of different scripts which show different aspects of my work. My dreams as a writer, well, recently what I've been up to is I actually write fiction as well. So I've had a couple of horror stories published this year. One's a YA horror, and the other one's in an anthology by Comma Press, so it's kind of more academic type horror, if you want to call it that. But I'm a bit peculiar in that I do like writing horror, but I don't like blood at all, so I'm very squeamish. So I want to sort of single-handedly invent a new genre of bloodless horror. The other thing is I have so many ideas all the time, and it's finding the right form. I almost wish I didn't write anything other than screenplays and stage plays, because I think I would have fewer strings to my bow, but I love thinking of new ideas and then trying to decide what form they will fit best. I'm just really excited about the imminent future because I've got so many irons in the fire, and I'm just very excited to get cracking on whatever people want to hire me for, basically. I really wanted to write a love story, just an all-out love story. I mean, everybody thinks the same things, I suppose, about romantic love, but what really interests me is that it's actually quite a mundane thing. So many people are in love and so many people fall in love. So it's actually quite commonplace, but for the 2 people it's happening to, assuming it's 2 people, it's actually quite extraordinary. So you can have people living their day-to-day lives and, loading the dishwasher or walking the dog or whatever, but meanwhile they're in this heightened state being in love. And I just wanted to kind of unpack that and look at what that actually means for the people who are going through it. I also wanted to write a love story about an inter-abled couple, because I'm in an inter-abled relationship. I use a mobility scooter, but I can't walk very much. but my husband's non-disabled. And I think there's some quite interesting things that are thrown up in that scenario when you're living with somebody who has particular impairments and with another person who doesn't have those impairments. There's quite a lot of common assumptions made that the disabled person maybe needs the non-disabled partner more, when I beg to differ. I don't think that's necessarily true, because you both bring different things to the relationship and you have your own particular dynamic, and if you're in love with each other then there's a kind of symbiotic need for each other and the different qualities you each bring. You know, if you're on a date together, you don't really want to have to sort of run through the Equalities Act in your head just to kind of get in the building or whatever. So it does necessarily put a strain on things sometimes, in a way that if you haven't got those problems and those challenges, you never get tested in that way. So I think there are all sorts of strains and stresses that come out, which is just interesting. You know, I just wanted to have a look at that and work out what it means for the two people involved. So I'm Karen Featherstone, and I wanted to write a returning series idea. I had to pick a sort of story of the week to write as my first episode. The first episode is called Hopelessly Devoted. It's about Jade, who's an entrepreneur, a disabled entrepreneur, and she has the idea to start up a retreat in Cumbria, where I live, for disabled holiday goers and their friends and families. And she's using a house which belongs to her boyfriend, Duncan. As the episode goes on, she begins to suspect that he may be attracted to her for her wheelchair, basically, that he has a thing about women in wheelchairs, and so that he might be what's known as a devotee. This is a very controversial topic and it can create quite extreme responses to it, and I thought, am I really going to go there? And yes, I have. I have gone there. Of course, it's a huge test to her relationship and she has to figure out a lot of things. Plus, if the relationship ends, she doesn't have her business premises anymore. So the stakes are quite high for her personally. This is the first episode and it's called Hopelessly Devoted.
Interior, financier's office. Day. In a hip, shiny Manhattan office block, Jade is sitting next to her best friend Lauren at a large conference table. Opposite them sit two financiers, a man and a woman, in their 20s and 30s. They scroll or click on their devices. There's an empty chair next to them. Jade is chomping at the bit to talk to them. Financier 3 crashes in on an e-scooter, letting it fall sideways to the floor in his haste to get to the empty chair.
Soz, guys. People.
Financier 1, the alpha, speaks to Jade and Lauren without his eyes leaving his screen.
Need another minute?
We're waiting for you.
I thought we were waiting for you. Well, this is funny. So, the social enterprise arm of your business plan revolves around...
Twirls his hand in Jade's direction.
I want to say disabled, but I don't want to.
Disabled's fine.
No, good. I mean, it's not good, obviously. So disabled's not pejorative.
Disabled's great.
That's a relief. Sasha, I owe you a tenner.
Lauren opens a file and pulls out architect's plans of the house in Cumbria.
You got my PDFs. Good. These are just some extra tools to visualize what we can achieve together. It's an exciting proposal that will not only be a force for social good, but highly profitable. And we're on course to developing a fantastic app.
He passes the sketches to the men. Jade mouths app to Lauren.
We're having a fundraiser soon for our soft launch.
Jade mouths soft launch to Lauren. Lauren smiles at the financiers.
You should come. Perhaps you could expand on the concept to these gentlemen.
People are crying out for somewhere like this. There's barely anything in the UK, let alone in Cumbria.
Your figures add up. but Airbnb and others are muscling in on the disabled pound. How will you maintain an edge?
That's just it. My place won't be merely accessible, it'll be...
Jade takes a deep breath, gearing up for saying something tremendously important.
a haven of fulfillment.
The financiers are unsure. Lauren is a little thrown by Jade's statement.
It'll be a place not just to access, but where we can thrive.
Sounds like a cult HQ.
Can you be more specific?
For example,
Jade looks to Lauren for help and gets none.
well, for example, painting and sculpture studios are generally not set up for disabled artists.
Quite a niche market.
Think about cooking too, in a kitchen that is completely accessible for all culinary needs. So you can develop, I don't know, your shoe pastry finesse. You'll learn topiary in our accessible garden. Horse riding, swimming, adapted skiing if the weather gets cold enough.
Sounds a bit unfocused.
It'll be a sanctuary where, without barriers, disabled visitors and their friends and families can do whatever they want.
If I go on holiday, right, I don't expect to be gardening and cooking. I want to pay someone to do that for me.
I'm talking about passion stoking, in a place where you can soar and try new things. Take sex.
A place where you can sex.
Lauren gives Jade a look.
Have you had sex with disabled people? I mean, knowingly, of course, because not all impairments are visible. It's different for everyone, of course. But some disabled couples or interabled lovers, I'm talking about in very specific circumstances, benefit from assistance.
I think what my colleague is trying to say is that many venues are sometimes not suitable for the needs.
I don't mean just hoists and whatnot. Harnesses, swings. I plan an area with limitless potential, with assistance if required.
An area.
Probably the basement.
What sort of assistance are we looking at in the sex basement?
People to help. Trained, of course.
Sorry.
The personal assistance support in the most sensitive and, well, beautiful, really, of ways.
You mean the personal assistants are in the same room? Well,
Guys, we should run this by legal.
Isn't it the most fulfilling thing you've ever heard? People helping other people to express their love for one another physically.
so a brothel. Money is changing hands.
My God, no. Have you been listening to anything I've said?
The financiers take a second to regroup. Lauren is unreadable.
The premises. Does it have a business name yet?
Still thinking about it. Me and my friends at Wheelchair Dance have had a right laugh about this, actually.
Go on.
Oh, I don't know. Done rolling, one of them said.
Jade stops laughing with nerves. Any professionalism she has managed to pull off is unravelling.
House of Spaz was another. You'll like this one, Lauren. Crip Shack.
Tumbleweed. Interior. Bar. Day. The Postmortem. Lauren is in a low mood. Jade is upbeat, but it's forced.
A brothel.
Typical of how blokes think. Completely missed the point.
She takes a gulp of lager.
Wankers.
Jade examines Lauren.
Cheer up.
You went quite off script.
The way to think about it
Yes, help me how to think about it.
is, do I have a good business idea?
Jade nods until Lauren nods too.
Did I explain it clearly and with passion?
Looking at Lauren, Jade can't keep up her act.
All right. Wasn't the most polished pitch, but they'll remember it. I bet you they do. And among all the other boring startups who want their dollar, ours will stick out in their minds. So come on. What are you worried about?
What if this whole thing, if it comes to nothing?
You'll get paid. Whatever happens, I promised you.
I couldn't take money from you in those circumstances. Not if the business doesn't even get off the ground. And I put a lot of time into this.
If it's about your fee.
Actually, it is. It's been months of work.
Why did you say you'd help me then? All those months ago when we started this, you knew it was a risk.
I wanted to help you, and I mean, as if things for you were bad enough.
Tense pause.
What are you saying?
Nothing, just, you're my friend and you've had it hard.
Jade is on her guard.
Losing your job.
Losing my job. Is that what you really meant?
And Duncan's part in this worries me. I just don't get the feeling he's really into this idea of leaving Manchester.
When have you talked to Duncan about this?
Interior. Bedroom, Jade's flat. Night. Duncan is in bed with his arms around Jade.
It's these little slips she makes.
You're wrong.
I thought she knew that I can do it on my own. I don't need her free work.
Shh.
I even wonder, if she's doing this out of pity.
Of course not.
Because to her, helping me is a good deed. She's virtue signalling to herself.
Calm down.
To make up for all the bollocks she's done in the past. You know she snogged my ex.
Right before he became your ex.
Maybe she's not really behind my project. Maybe she's just, because I'm disabled.
Duncan strokes her hair. Jade lets herself relax, shuts her eyes.
Don't worry. I'm sure she doesn't even see you as disabled. I don't.
Jade's eyes spring open.
What do you mean?
You're just you, aren't you?
He can feel she's tensed.
What?
But I am disabled. And there's nothing wrong with me being disabled. And if there's nothing wrong with me being disabled, if it's not a lesser state, and it's not, then why do you say?
Christ, I can't say anything, can I?
Don't worry. I don't see you as disabled.
It's not quite what I said.
As though that should what? Comfort me? Flatter me?
Jade, I'm tired.
You make out there's nothing wrong with me, yet you try and comfort me at the same time while saying you don't see what is commonly acknowledged as being wrong with me. Don't you get it?
I don't get anything you say anymore. Maybe I'm not up to this.
He gets up from the bed, taking his pillow. As he leaves the room.
When did you get so complicated?
When I became disabled. And I haven't become complicated, I've become more. It's been the making of me.
Jade curls up on her own, resolute.